Streamer-hosted tournaments in Trackmania usually are one of the biggest tournaments of the year. Last week, the Trackmania streamer and content creator Maji hosted her second season of Maji Mondays. Ever since there was an incident when the cup of the day had died, some of the streamers had decided to run their own cup of the days on their specific track of days that were supposed to be played on the specific day. Well, they had the track and the tournament wasn't working. Some streamers have decided to host like a pseudo cup of the day and using their platform to promote such an event. And afterwards, there had been some alterations to such a format, where some of the streamers have decided to quickly build a map of their choice or what their preference or anything insane, crazy, what they managed to build up in a short amount of time. And immediately about that, host a tournament with a cup of the day style and have a serious tournament or a fun tournament afterwards. Most of the time, it's usually on the fun side, especially with the spammy of the days or birdie of the days, and there's many other kind of streamers or content creators of the days type of versions. From what I have counted, there's at least 17 of them. So what's so special about the Maji Mondays if she follows a similar formula as many other content creators? Well, her versions is that she has a prize pool that's being crowdfunded by her community. And those prize pools have reached pretty big amounts, especially for Trackmania standards. The very first edition that was held at the start of the year had reached 15,000 USD, and the second edition has reached 14,000. Usually how these tournaments work is that Maji had creates a map very early on of the stream, and then immediately runs a knockout, where the winner qualifies to the main events. As these tournaments have quite a bit of prize pool, and since Trackmania doesn't have that big of prize pools in most of the tournaments, it immediately appeals to quite a bit of top players. The second season had some new names, some familiar faces, and many top players from TMGL and TMCL. But in the end, the tournament was won by Bren, who took 5,605 USD and 60 cents, which has been the biggest singular win for Bren prize pool wise. And keep in mind, he is a TMGL player, has competed in many eRacer Cups and World Championships, and this has been his biggest win of his entire career. There have been a lot of people talking about it. Most of the bigger prize pool tournaments are usually done on a bit wonky maps or some kind of maps that have a bit of, let's just say, nuance, not so prepared maps. Like for example, this eRacer hosted Ascension will be the biggest prize pool event in Trackmania history. And additionally, since this has been the second tournament from Maji, who has already distributed 29,000 USD from this year alone, which is almost the same amount as the TMGL circuits. It really shows how these kind of tournaments can be really good for the scene, and also can point out how much money potentially there is missing within Trackmania. Especially comparing to other games and esports titles, Trackmania doesn't have that big of tournament operators with a lot of sponsorship interest, which hasn't really led to that big of prize pools in Trackmania, at least so far, because most of the biggest prize pools have been coming from community contributions, either that goes through a streamer. Even Spam in the past have hosted a lot of events, including the trial events that was quite recently. And usually he does prize pool caps, because in terms of taxes it does cause a bit of logistical problems, which for an individual person can be a bit of a headache compared to, let's say, a company or a large tournament operator. Personally, I had done some events in the past that also have used crowdfunding. It can help with raising some small amounts in terms of prize pool winnings, but usually I have never breached into 4 digits. I feel like the biggest one, and I feel like the one that will be the biggest one that I had done, was the Fastpoint International from last year, where we crowdfunded, I believe, to 700 USD. And I believe that's already was an insane crowdfund what happened for that tournament. I personally don't think that will ever be topped at least regarding from the events that I host, but it was already still crazy to have such an amount for a tournament. And it also showcases how big a power do streamers have, because they can do crowdfund tournaments and it can easily go into 5 digits. Well, for example, if you do not have a platform that is on a similar scale, and if you want to do something similar, usually the amounts won't be that big. Which is one of the reasons and one of the things I have been really trying to get going is to get a lot of brands to be involved with Trackmania. So there can be a bit more tournaments with a bit more, as some people say, serious map styles, and a bit more consistent ones to actually have some proper prize pools. One of the shoutout events I can do is the XP Evo tournament as well. Comic-Con Baltics is the one that I'm working on, where the maps are way more structured and I'll try to build as good maps, especially for competitive play. It can also be kinda the case for the World Championship, but it has been a bit of a 50-50 split regarding some community members on it. But yeah, anyway, what do you think about, let's say, some streamers hosting events that exceed prize pools for many official or some, let's just say, in quote, serious events? Well, the maps usually are having this unique spin on them when the tournament is played. Anyway, make sure to comment that down below. That'll be it from me today. Thank you all for watching and see y'all later. Bye-bye. Also, check out the Maji stuff, XP Evo stuff, Comic-Con Baltic stuff in the description as well.